Hi everyone, and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're on part 2 of our article about professional wrestling, which is a sport mixed with a TV drama.
Yeah.
The best way to explain it.
Absolutely. Yeah, wrestlers, now they know what are going to happen in these matches. It's not like that Olympic wrestling that you see in the Olympics when it's really a sport and these fighters don't really know what will happen. This is kind of more like a live play or a live stunt scene with fighting, but like in a play or like in a movie stunt, you know who's going to win. The actors know who's going to win. So they do actually sort of plan things out, but still, they are really throwing each other around. They are slapping each other and jumping far and doing all sorts of stuff. So the action is real, but the sort of result or who wins at the end, that might be planned out before. Now, we also learned some really useful wrestling terms from you yesterday. We learned that there are 2 main kinds of wrestlers.
That's right. There are baby faces, or you can just say faces, who are the good guys, and heels, who are the bad guys.
Like in a movie fight.
Yeah, and the heels are either kind of cheaty heels who sneak around and break the rules, or they're monster heels who are giant, big, violent people who do more damage and are more violent than they should be.
Okay, and like in a movie, these guys don't like each other. And just like Spider-Man might have a rival, you know, some evil superhero who he's fighting with over many movies, these wrestlers also have these sort of relationships where they get into an argument and then a fight and then things get really dramatic. And they call these feuds. Now, a feud could be over winning a championship title, over, you know, who's number 1, but it could also be a much more personal thing, much more like you would see in a movie or a TV show.
Yeah, like you hurt my friend, I'll get you for that. A good feud will last a while and build up and be settled at a big match at an important wrestling event, such as WrestleMania, which is the biggest of them all. So today we're going to introduce some more wrestling terms and explain what they mean in the business. Let's read through.
Reading.
Faces, heels, and finishers. The world of wrestling. Gimmicks. To get fans excited, wrestlers use gimmicks. These are the characters they play in the ring and during interviews. Gimmicks include wrestlers' unusual names, exciting clothes, and dramatic attitudes. Gimmicks used to be over the top. For example, The Undertaker pretended to be a zombie with magic powers. These days, gimmicks usually reflect wrestlers' true personalities. Finishers. An important part of a wrestler's gimmick is their finisher. This is a spectacular move that wins the match. Fans go nuts when the wrestler performs it. Some classic finishers include Steve Austin's Stone Cold Stunner, The Rock's Rock Bottom, and John Cena's Attitude Adjustment. Kayfabe. Kayfabe is the practice of treating wrestling like it's real. In kayfabe, faces and heels hate each other, gimmicks are real, and finishers are painful. Wrestlers maintained kayfabe as part of the sport for years, acting out the stories in public. These days, however, as more people know the truth about wrestling, it's no longer as important. Check out a wrestling show and enjoy the fun.
All right, so yesterday we learned about faces and heels. We learned what feuds are and things like that. Let's get into some of this other special wrestling terminology. These are words that we use outside of wrestling, but often in wrestling they have a special meaning, and certainly wrestling fans will use these words more than you might in your normal life. The next word we see there is gimmicks. Now, when I think of a gimmick, I think of something that a company's trying to use to get you to go. Like when a fast food chain gives away a toy when you order an extra large burger or something. That's a gimmick. They're trying to use this little thing, this special feature, to get you to come in and spend your money.
Right, and in wrestling, it's kind of a similar idea.
Okay.
The article says to get fans excited, wrestlers use gimmicks.
Okay, all right.
And it's basically everything about who they are.
Oh, interesting. So it's not actually a thing. It's all the different stuff that make them who they are, make them their character. It says these are the characters they play in the ring and during interviews.
We see in the article that gimmicks include wrestlers' unusual names. They don't often use their real names.
The Rock.
Yes. Exciting clothes that they wear, bright colors and stuff, and dramatic attitudes.
I also read their hair.
Often,
having special hair. Anything that helps you stand out.
Yeah, the music, they come to the ring.
Oh, they have their own special music?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's all part of the gimmick. Now, one part is the dramatic attitudes. Wrestlers aren't quiet, calm people unless that is their gimmick. They're crazy. They're over the top. They're kind of very sort of like excitable, and they talk loudly and they really want to show their passion. It helps them tell the story of the character and the feud. And the word dramatic means with great drama, with great emotion, with kind of basically like a stage drama or a soap opera drama. It's something like that with a lot of real kind of acting power going into it. Something surprising, shocking, exciting, larger than life.
Right.
Would be
big feelings and letting them all out.
So we could say, it's such a great movie. And I won't tell you about the dramatic ending. It will leave you speechless. So the ending is going to be a big surprise that's kind of larger than life and no one expects. It's lots of emotion in it. It is dramatic.
I bet a hero will be running away while something explodes behind them.
Wow.
That will probably be quite dramatic. And we also had this word attitude. Now, this is a noun that can mean several different things, but the general idea, it's about who you are, or how you're feeling, or the way you're acting in the world at that time. As your feelings change, your attitude can change, all right? If you have a good attitude, that means you're friendly, you're in a good mood, you're easy to talk to. If you have a bad attitude, you're grumpy, you're not happy about something, you're really not feeling very good that day. And your attitude is also, you know, how you deal with things and other people in the world, okay? So if we talk about someone having a bad attitude, that means that's a difficult person to be with. For example, most people will try to have a good and positive attitude on their first day at a new job. Yeah, don't go into a new job with a bad attitude. That's not a good way to start.
So we're talking about gimmicks, wrestlers' characters.
Right.
Now, if you may have, like me, you might have watched these shows for a long time, and you'll probably remember, as the article says, gimmicks used to be over the top.
I remember a guy had a snake.
Yes, Jake the Snake Roberts.
He would bring a snake into the wrestling ring and then put it on people. That was a pretty over-the-top gimmick.
It was.
A live, wild animal.
Yes. Now, we say used to here. Used to means it was true in the past, but not now. I used to live in the UK, now I live here. I used to play badminton a lot, now I don't. That kind of thing.
Okay.
But so yeah, in the past, these gimmicks were over the top.
Yeah, something's over the top. It's almost crazy. It's something you definitely don't see every day. Someone has taken it to something that you would think, okay, that's enough. And then they've gone even further, all right?
Yeah, and we have an example of this that's kind of one of the most famous gimmicks of all time.
Not the guy with the snake?
Not the snake.
Okay.
For example, The Undertaker.
Oh, I remember him.
Pretended to be a zombie with magic powers.
Really? I just remember he looked like he was dead, basically.
In the story, he is dead.
Oh, he is dead.
He's supposed to be dead.
All right.
That's the gimmick.
Okay.
And he was very good at pretending this.
He was scary.
Yeah.
He was.
Still is. Still goes.
Oh, really?
Yep, he pretends, and to pretend is to act as if something is real. You're making believe, you're maybe pretending to be a character on stage or in a movie, or as a kid you might be pretending we're astronauts, we're flying to the moon, something like that. For example, the two little kids pretended that the big box was actually their pirate ship. So we're on the sea, you know, look out, there's a whale.
Don't fall in the water.
Yes, exactly. And The Undertaker, for a long time, pretended to be a zombie with magic powers.
Very, very interesting. Of course, zombies you see are either people acting or pretending or something like that. Because what is a zombie? It's a dead person who has come back to life and is walking around, usually going, ugh, kind of not doing a lot that normal people do, except walking and trying to kill other people, which is not something normal people do. But we see these in movies and television shows, The Walking Dead, Dawn of the Dead. A lot of the titles have dead in there. World War Z, that was a zombie movie with Brad Pitt. So basically it's kind of like a ghost or a vampire, one of these characters that we see in horror movies. But in this case, it's a dead person who's come back to life. They're not very smart. They usually walk around slowly, but if they bite you, you turn into a zombie too. So stay away from zombies.
Yeah, so those were gimmicks back in the sort of 80s and 90s. These days, gimmicks usually reflect wrestlers' true personalities.
Okay.
They say, what's something about you? Okay, really show that, kind of make it over the top, that's your gimmick. So if it to reflect means to represent something in a reasonably true or faithful way. For example, if this wrestler, if this real person, the actual man, is, for example, quite short and doesn't like tall people, then we say, all right, make this crazy. We'll reflect this part of your personality and we'll turn it into you're somebody who really hates tall people and will attack them every chance you get to prove that little is just as good as big.
Okay.
So that's how you could take a real character trait, a personality trait, and reflect it in a wrestling gimmick.
Okay, so if there's a reflection there, if something reflects, there is a bit of truth. There is a tie to some trueness or some reality in the world. Okay, and we also have this word personality. All right, your personality is basically who you are as a person. We don't usually talk about if you're tall or short or the color of your hair or something. No, the kind of person you are, your character, your psychology, the things that you like, the things that you love to do. Maybe part of your job is part of your character. If it's something that you have passion for, if you're a fan of something, that's part of your character. So if I say, you know, what's he like or what's she like? Describe them to me. You could say, of course, they're tall, they're short, they're this, they're that. But if you say, oh, they're very friendly, they like to read, they love nature, they're very athletic, this kind of thing tells me more about who they are, tells me more about their personality. For example, Derek has a friendly personality, and so it's easy for him to make friends. Okay, so we've learned that a wrestler's gimmick can be a lot of different things, from you know, the tools they use or the look they have, and also the kind of person or attitude that they bring to the ring. Now, we have another term here.
Yeah, and it's actually related to the gimmick. It is it is the wrestler's finishers.
The finisher. Is this like in one of those fighting movies when they give you a finishing move and you kind of knock the guy out in a special way?
Exactly.
Okay, okay. An important part of a wrestler's gimmick is their finisher. So just like in those fighting games that you might have done where you press the right combination of buttons and a certain fighter will do a certain cool thing that only they do, wrestlers have something similar.
Yeah, as we see in the article.
Cool.
This, the finisher, is a spectacular move that wins the match.
Now, in a video game, one of them might take off their hood and breathe fire on another and burn them up.
Yep.
I'm guessing that doesn't happen in wrestling.
Not often, no.
No, okay.
It might be they maybe jump off the top of the ring, you know, the top of the ropes and jump and hit someone with an elbow.
But they're the only one who does it that
or it's a big slam or some kind of thing that twists their leg until they, I give up, I can't take it.
Okay.
Whatever it is, it needs to be spectacular. Something something that's spectacular is impressive. It's great to look at or watch. It makes you go, wow. You can't just have, okay, my finisher is just, I'll punch him in the face. Doesn't really work. But if you do a big crazy move, you spin in the air or you pick somebody up and slam them right down on the ground in a cool way, that can be a finisher because those moves are spectacular.
Okay, and they often give it a special name, don't they? And the announcers are like, oh, he's about to do the atomic slam or something like that. And everyone knows that this guy does the atomic slam. No one else does it. And when they see it, it says the fans Fans go nuts when the wrestler performs it, especially if they're fans of that wrestler. They see, oh, he's going to do it. Oh, and he did it. And it probably is quite painful to do. So, of course, when the fans are really feeling it, when they're really excited, they go nuts. And this idiom basically means to go crazy. When you're really excited about something, you're not just like, oh, that was pretty good. You're like, oh my God. And you're running around and you're screaming, and people who aren't really into it kind of look at you like, are you okay? Because you're going nuts. You seem to have lost control of yourself, but generally through excitement and passion and joy.
Yep, some classic finishers. We'll give you some examples here and mention the men who did them. Steve Austin's Stone Cold Stunner.
Okay, that's a good name.
Yeah, he kicks them in the stomach and crack, brings their chin down on his shoulder.
Ouch.
We mentioned The Rock.
Yeah, sure.
Dwayne Johnson, now a movie star, he had the rock bottom.
But he sits on you?
No, he picked them up really high and slammed them when he was jumping down into the mat.
That would hurt too.
Yep, and John Cena, more modern star.
He's in movies too.
Yeah,
right?
he has the attitude adjustment.
Oh, I like that one.
Which is kind of, he picks them up on his shoulders, spins them around, and then dumps them again.
Interesting. An attitude adjustment is more like when your teacher says, you've been bad, you need to change your attitude. It's not usually about throwing people around, so I kind of like the name of that one.
Yeah.
The attitude adjustment.
They have clever names, often related to the gimmick of the character, the name, what their personality is, and so on.
Okay.
And these are classic finishing moves. Something that's classic, it's beloved, and it's proven to be successful and popular over time. Maybe it's an old thing, but it's still enjoyed today. We could talk about classic movies from the 50s or 60s that people still like. We've got another one here. A hamburger, some French fries, and a milkshake makes up a classic American meal.
Yeah.
So people loved them 70, 80 years ago. They still love that now.
You can still see kids ordering that meal in a fast food restaurant. All right, do you have another one? I'm going to need your help with this.
Okay.
It seems to say kayfabe.
That is exactly
Is that what, how we say it? I've
Kayfabe.
never seen this word before in my life.
This is one of the most wrestling words we've got. Kayfabe. It's an old kind of carnival performing term.
Okay.
But basically, as the article explains, kayfabe is the practice of treating wrestling like it's real. Of course, we said wrestling is scripted, the moves are done safely, that's real life, but in kayfabe, it's all real.
So this is a different kind of wrestling, or just the way that the fans look at the wrestling?
It's the way the actors act, it's the way the fans pretend to behave, even if they know the truth. It's this kind of agreement that what you're seeing is real.
Wow, so they're really acting and they're basically living this role.
Yes.
Not just pretending. It says, in kayfabe, faces and heels hate each other for real. Gimmicks are real, and finishers are painful and real.
Yes.
Interesting.
So normally these wrestlers could be very friendly away from the ring in their personal lives.
Okay.
But in kayfabe, they hate each other.
Even if they saw each other walking down the street, they would yell at chase each other around. Wow.
Yeah, they're supposed to act like that in public.
Interesting. Okay.
We see in the article, wrestlers maintained kayfabe as part of the sport for years, acting out the stories in public. So there would be rules like if you're a face, you can never drive in the same car as a heel.
Okay.
You can never sit together if you go out for a meal. You can't be in the same building.
Wow.
Because you're supposed to hate each other.
They get on the air. He's on the same airplane. I'm going to wait and take another airplane, or else we're going to fight on the airplane or something. And as you said, they maintain this for years, right? If you maintain something, basically you keep it in a certain state or in a certain situation. You don't change it. You don't allow it to change. If you keep your house looking nice by putting a little bit of new paint here and there, you don't change it all the time. No, you want to keep it in one way and kind of, lock it in time in a way by doing those little jobs that you need to do. A lot of people, when they buy a new car, they want to maintain that car. You get it checked out every few months. You make sure it doesn't get scratched or anything like that. You're not always trying to change it and make it new. You're trying to keep it just the way it was in the past. For example, Alvin worked hard to maintain his grandfather's old country inn. This inn's been here for 100 years, and if his grandfather came back, it would look exactly as it did the day he bought it.
Now, in that sentence, we ended it with an adverbial participle clause. A clause like this starts with a VING or past tense verb, and it replaces other words, several other words, to make the sentence shorter and smoother to read. So we could have said in our article, wrestlers maintained kayfabe as part of the sport for years, and they acted out the stories in public. Now, we replaced and they acted with acting, just to make it shorter. And this grammar point allows us to deliver information in the sentence without using so many words. Now, we can use participle clauses where the participle and the verb in the main clause have the same subject. So, since it's about wrestlers, we can use this kind of clause. We use the VING form when the main sentence has an active meaning, and the VED or past tense participle clause when the sentence has more of a passive meaning. Here's an example. The tree lay flat on the ground because it was blown down by the storm a week earlier. We can shorten this to, the tree lay flat on the ground, blown down by the storm a week earlier. So that was in the past. Wrestlers really did pretend to be these characters whenever they were in public, and they maintained kayfabe.
Okay, but they haven't really been able to maintain this idea of kayfabe as it says these days. However, as more people know the truth about wrestling, it's no longer as important. I guess also in wrestling, they want the wrestlers to go on Instagram and, share their private lives. So if they had to pretend to be a different person all the time, it would be a little bit hard for them to do. I guess it's good for the wrestlers to be able to sort of walk away from the business and, be who they really are.
Yeah, in the age of the internet with a lot more journalism, social media, keeping the kind of secrets of the business is a lot more difficult. There are a lot more articles and shows that talk about the behind the backstage stuff, so they can't really keep it that much anymore. But our article is finishing now with the advice, check out a wrestling show and enjoy the fun. And that brings us to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
All right, so here we have your own little chance to, to have a little bit of make-believe, pretend a little bit, fantasize that you're a wrestler. So, Pat, I'm going to ask you our question, and I'm sure you're going to have a great answer. What would your wrestling gimmick be? And would you be a face or a heel? Now, a gimmick, it could also, it would be your name, your finishing move, your snake, or whatever you might bring into the ring. So, give us your whole character.
That's
would you be a face or a heel, a good guy or a bad guy?
I'd absolutely be a heel.
Okay.
I would be the kind of sneaky heel who
Actors like being bad guys.
Yeah, I would probably use, because I'm British and this is a mostly American sport, I would kind of really be the kind of like, I'm British and I'm better than you, and I will cheat to win and show you Americans
you'd be a snob.
I'm superior, yes.
Okay, SNO, be a snob. Now, you kind of look down at everyone.
Yes, actually I wouldn't be the first British wrestler to use this gimmick. It's kind of a traditional one for British wrestlers in US wrestling, but yes, calling myself something like Duke Patrick of Woods would, something better. Ideally. My finisher would be something like that made people quit. Not a big slam, I'm not a big guy. I would do something like twist their legs around and then I could laugh at them and never let go even when they quit. That's a heel thing to do.
Do you have a name for your finishing move? Like the teabag twist or something like that?
Something like that. How about just call it Rule Britannia?
Rule, I like that one. Rule Britannia.
Yeah, lock in the Rule Britannia.
So what about you guys? What would your wrestling gimmick be? Have you thought about it? Did anything pop in your mind? There's a whole world of imagination out there. Basically, if you can do it with your arms, legs, and body and twist another person in a weird shape, that could be part of your gimmick.
Okay, well, we're out of time. Thanks for watching, everybody. For English for You, I'm Lord Patrick of Woods.
I'm just Mike.
And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Be safe out there.
Faces, heels, and finishers. The world of wrestling. Gimmicks. To get fans excited, wrestlers use gimmicks. These are the characters they play in the ring and during interviews. Gimmicks include wrestlers' unusual names, exciting clothes, and dramatic attitudes. Gimmicks used to be over the top. For example, The Undertaker pretended to be a zombie with magic powers. These days, gimmicks usually reflect wrestlers' true personalities. Finishers. An important part of a wrestler's gimmick is their finisher. This is a spectacular move that wins the match. Fans go nuts when the wrestler performs it. Some classic finishers include Steve Austin's Stone Cold Stunner, The Rock's Rock Bottom, and John Cena's Attitude Adjustment. Kayfabe. Kayfabe is the practice of treating wrestling like it's real. In kayfabe, faces and heels hate each other, gimmicks are real, and finishers are painful. Wrestlers maintained kayfabe as part of the sport for years, acting out the stories in public. These days, however, as more people know the truth about wrestling, it's no longer as important. Check out a wrestling show and enjoy the fun.
Vocabulary Review. Dramatic. It's nice to add some dramatic effects to a speech in order to make the audience feel interested. Attitude. The boy didn't want to learn or listen in class, and his bad attitude affected his scores. Pretend. Tommy hid his comic book inside his textbook so that he could pretend he was studying. Personality. One girl in the class never talks to anyone, so we think she has a shy personality. Classic. The classic story was written 200 years ago and is still studied in colleges today. Maintain. Martin worked hard to maintain his good grades in all his classes.
智慧小補帖
Zombie. Reflect. Spectacular. Adjustment.
以上节目是由活用空中美語製作，活用空中美語雜誌，請洽詢全國各大書店。如欲索取視聽教材，請來電02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上網查詢，網址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net